Hello, it's John Virgo here. This is a request for Snooker Loopy, which was a matchroom thing with Steve Davis and Dennis Taylor and Willie Thorne. Not my song. Mine was from Big Break. It's only a game. But you've asked me to do it, so I'll do it. It's Snooker Loopy, not so we. Me and him and them and me. Great lines. We'll show you what to do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Pot the reds and screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink or black. Snooker Loopy, nuts are we. We're all snooker loopy. A well done to Chaz and Dave. Where's the cue ball going? Cheers.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Snooker Loopy podcast. My name is Tom Mayhew and I'm joined as always by my very good friend. It's the Sunshine Warrior, Joe Hannah.
Good evening, Hazel. Good evening, everybody at home. And welcome to what is hopefully going to be us finally getting round to reviewing a lot of the tournaments that we've previewed, Tom, but never got around to actually talking about what happened in them for various reasons, you know, illnesses and busy Christmas periods and you gallivanting around the world in your comedy career. But you know, all of that means that we get a bumper episode today. So lots to talk about. We're obviously going to be talking about the end of 2025 and the Masters of 2026, as well as announcing the winner of the all-important giveaway for the World Snooker Tour quiz book. So signed by me and Tom, by the way. So it's going to all be very, very exciting. But how have you been, Tom? Did you enjoy your opening to the year with the Masters?
Yeah, it's been really lovely. The Masters is always a nice way of starting the year. I think especially in January, you know, people talk about the January blues, and I think it's a good thing when you're a bit sort of tired and you're a bit, the weather's not great out, you can just sit inside in the nice warm weather and be warmed up by the Sunshine Warrior, by Kyron Wilson himself, and you can sit down, watch the snooker, have a lovely time, and it's just always great. The Masters, even the matches that aren't the highest quality, which we'll talk about maybe in a bit.
Wow.
You know, but it's just always lovely to see. Did you have fun watching it? Did you go to see it at all this year?
No. I've never been to the Masters, Ali Pally. It's the only Triple Crown one I haven't done, actually. So that's an interesting idea.
Let's go next year, Joe. Me and you.
We'll go and watch the final. Yeah, no, it was good. Obviously, we had the sort of fable of 6-2s, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Our predictions couldn't have gone more different, I don't think. And it's quite funny because you absolutely slated me on the last podcast for my predictions, and rightfully so, it would seem. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. But it's always a good start of the year. John Virgo on top form, and there are some really interesting sort of developments with the BBC coverage that I'd love to get your thoughts on later on, of how they're changing things up just a little bit, and I'm not sure it's for the better. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on. But of course, 2025 ended with some pretty big tournaments, certainly podcast tournaments. You know, we had the UK Championship, the start of the proper snooker season, as we call it. So shall we dive straight in and look at how we got on in our predictions for the UK Championship? Because it was a long time ago, but
it was last year.
It was indeed. But I don't know if you can remember who you backed for the UK Championship.
It all kind of molds into one, because me and Joe are going to talk about 3 events we've done predictions for, you know, the UK's, the Shootout, and the Masters. So I like to think of it as 3 of the 4 majors for me personally. I think the Shootout is up there as the 4th major, because if you can just make up Saudi Arabia being a major, I'm going to start saying the Shootout's a major, because why not?
Absolutely. So, go on. Who do you think?
Was it a Smurf 360 maybe? Possibly.
It was, yeah. You went for a Smurf 360, and just to sort of talk you through some of your actual predictions, you went for Judd Trump over Stephen Maguire in the first round. That was quite an obvious choice, I suppose. You went for Ronnie O'Sullivan against Zhou Yulong. You went for David Lilley to beat Barry Hawkins. But actually, you had a very, very successful first round. You got 12 of the 16 winners correct in the first round. So that was really impressive. You correctly predicted Judd Trump, Ding Junhui, Mark Williams, Pang Junxu, Wu Yiza, Neil Robertson, Elliot Slessor, Mark Selby, John Higgins, Sean Murphy, Zhang Enda, and Zhao Xintong, all to win their first round matches. So very well played on that front. The only ones you got wrong were Ryan Day to beat Si Jiahui, Mark Allen to beat Scott Donaldson, which, I think that's fair enough. David Lilley to beat Barry Hawkins, and Ronnie O'Sullivan to beat Zhou Yulong. So well done, Tom. 12 points straight off the bat. Into the second round, you still were back in Judd Trump, and he came through for you. Ding Junhui, he came through for you as well. Pang Junxu, he came through for you. So all three of them you got straight away. Wu Yiza let you down. Neil Robertson beat him. Elliot Slessor let you down. Barry Hawkins beat him. Ronnie obviously wasn't in it. Mark Selby won that match. And Sean Murphy didn't let you down. So you did get another 4 victories there, each at 2 points. So you are now on 18 points here, Tom. So this is a good. Is it? No, sorry, you're on 20 points. You're on 20 points, maths teacher. I am going to have my trusty calculator here at the side, because we are keeping a running total of how many points we score today as well. So this is a good start for Tom. However, it all went wrong in the quarterfinals because you thought Ding Junhui would win. But Judd Trump did, won that one. Neil Robertson beat Pang Junxu. And Mark Selby also got through to the semi-final, so no points there. But the Smurf 360 keeping you going with another 4 points there. Into the semi-finals he goes, and you must have been getting excited, thinking, "Oh my God, Sean Murphy's going to win the UK Championship." But sadly for you, he lost in the semi-final to Mark Selby. And Judd Trump won against Neil Robertson in the other semi-final, meaning that you didn't score any points from that point on. But 24 points, very respectable, Tom. And that,
I'm chuffed with that.
And that got you a very respectable 493rd place in the contest out of 710. So you were in the bottom half, which I think is harsh. After 12 out of the first 16, it all went a little bit wrong from there. So well done on that front. Do you remember who I backed?
It's so long ago, I'm going to go... Did we... I don't think we both went for Smurf. I think maybe... Did you go for someone like a Mark Selby, maybe? Or Ronnie?
I went Neil Robertson, I believe. So.
Okay.
But I did feel like... Did I back Mark Selby to go quite far? I think I maybe backed him to go to the quarterfinal, but anyway, it is what it is. So 24 to beat Tom. You'll be happy to know I backed Stephen Maguire to beat Judd Trump early on. So I beat.
Come on,
Up
Judd.
there.
I
backed Kyron Wilson to beat Elliot Slessor, which didn't happen. I also backed David Lilley to beat Barry Hawkins, but I did, in fact, predict 10 of the first 16 matches. So Si Jiahui, Ding Junhui, Mark Williams, Wu Yiza, Neil Robertson, Mark Selby, Higgins, Murphy, and Jin Tong all got me a point. So we're on 10 at the minute.
Wow.
So decent start. Second round, I got 4 right out of the second round 8 matches. Ding Junhui, Neil Robertson, Mark Selby, and Smurf 360. So that's an extra 8 points to the collection. So I'm on 18 at the minute. So I'm 2 behind par because, of course, Tom was on 20 at this stage. And then the quarterfinals came about, and I had backed Neil Robertson and the Smurf 360 to get through that. So that's an extra 8 points in the bag there, taking me to 26, which means I've overtaken Tom just at the right time because I lost in the semi-finals, just like Tom. Neil Robertson and the Smurf both lost in that semi-final, meaning that sadly, no more points for me. So currently, Tom, it's 26-24 in the battle for the UK Championship. As, of course, Mark Selby won the UK Championship, and I suppose very good to see him back in the winner's enclosure. You know, he seems a lot more relaxed these days, and dare I say it, less grinderish, if that's not a word, but you know, he does seem to just be less intense on the table now, and good to see him win another event. And hey, on this channel, we're always happy to see Judd Trump beaten in a final.
Yeah, we are, and I think a lot of people, especially over, I'd say maybe the past 5, maybe 10 years, have warmed to Selby a lot more. Especially partly because he's not the dominant figure he was for a bit, so people were just always happier to see him, and he's very open about his off the table struggles. So I think a lot of people, when he won, were like, "Good, he deserves to win a big event. He's always up there." So I think very few snooker fans would begrudge Selby that. So yeah, I was very happy to see him win.
Yeah, and it was a very dominant win in the final as well. He absolutely hammered Judd Trump there, and winning that match actually sealed Judd Trump's trophyless 2025. He didn't win a single tournament in that calendar year, and obviously that's a big surprise for a world number one. You would have thought that he would have won one. He was very consistently in quarter, semis, and finals. I think there was some statistic that he got to every quarter final for the first few events of last season. So, you know, he's very consistent. But, yeah, didn't win a tournament in 2025. But, yeah, Mark Selby started the Triple Crown in the best way possible. But... yeah, do you have any other sort of memories that stand out from this year's UK Championship?
Well, I mean, Ronnie's very disappointing performance in the first round, which ultimately probably led to him withdrawing from the Masters for a second consecutive year. That was, for a Ronnie fan, quite concerning, because I think a lot of us did feel like, you know, it felt like Ronnie was getting into a good place in himself, and we all probably thought, okay, well, he's maybe not as match sharp as he would be, but we thought maybe, you know, there'd be a bit of that magic, and it's never nice to see Ronnie go out in the first round. It always, I think we say before, takes a bit of magic away from the tournament, and so yeah, that was one of my abiding memories from the UK's.
Yeah, I have to agree, and also Kyron Wilson being completely all at sea with his cue. You know, he had a little bit of an outburst after his match, and you know, it was quite sad to see because Kyron's such a nice guy and usually such the sportsman, a bit like Sean Murphy, really. It's sad to see him get so down and look so sad. You know, to go out in that first round, and I think that really hit him hard. Obviously, Ronnie going out, that's a big memory. But yeah, I mean, you know, it was a good tournament. And if you look at that final four of Judd Trump, Neil Robertson, Sean Murphy, and Mark Selby, I mean, that is an incredible final four for a Triple Crown tournament. And yeah, fair play to everybody. And Mark Selby, of course, coming out on top. Another Triple Crown tournament to his collection as well, to go with his 4 World Championships and 3 Masters. I believe it moved him clear of John Higgins in the Triple Crown standings. I can't quite remember, but yeah, well played to Mark Selby, and as I say, good to see him winning big tournaments again. But very quickly after that, Tom, we got on to what we think is the biggest tournament of the year, certainly for the podcast, and that is the shootout. Now, do you have any recollection whatsoever of who you might have picked to be in your shootout team?
Well, we should firstly say that the winner, Alfie Burden, wasn't even on the list of players.
He was the 20th reserve, Tom. So there were at least 20 withdrawals from this tournament after our recording of the preview. I don't know if there was any more. I don't know if there was anybody underneath Alfie Burden in the reserve list. But yeah, I mean, it's quite possible that most of these players that we picked didn't even play.
Yeah, and it's strange because I genuinely think if he was on the list, he's that kind of character that me and Joe might have been inclined to pick. Because me and Joe we love a journeyman. We love someone who's been playing for a while. You know, a Barry Pinches, a Rod the Plod. We love people like that. So when he won it, I was just like, if only we'd known. Because I think did he replace Ali Carter or something like that?
I don't know who he replaced. There was, more than 20 players withdrew from this tournament, which is crazy in itself that it's a ranking event, isn't it? And, that's a debate for another day. It makes it fun anyway to do some predictions. So do you have any idea who you might have picked?
Oh, I feel like because we did a captain that had double points.
Yes.
I know I've done David Lilly in the past, but I think my captain this year might have been a top 24 kind of player. It might have been a Smurf or a Mark Allen or Bingham, someone like that.
It was Sean Murphy, yeah, correct. Well done.
Oh, yeah. By the way, does anyone else? I don't know whether you do this, Joe, but when he does the Smurf 360, I like to stand up and do it while I'm watching as well.
I mean, I don't personally, Tom, but that, I'm not taking anything away from you for doing that. That's quite a commitment to the Sean Murphy fandom. That so yeah,
well, if listeners want to start doing that, I think we should start it as a trend that everyone at home just goes.
Yeah, well, what's hilarious is I remember on, I think it was World Snooker 2005, I think all the players did that when they got a century or they got a good pot or they just sort of waved to the crowd. It's just funny. Maybe Sean Murphy was inspired by the World Snooker Championship games to do his Smurf 360.
Well, that was the year that he won the World Championship.
It was indeed. It was, yeah. Yeah, very true. Very true. But, so yeah, you got Sean Murphy. Any others that you want to throw out there that you think you might have had in your team?
Probably Stephen Wardropper.
You didn't actually. You didn't have Stephen Wardropper this year.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've dropped the bomb there, clearly. Okay. I don't know. It's really hard to remember even who bothered to enter the shootout.
Well, I'll put you out of your misery, Tom. So you had Sean Murphy as your team captain. You had Elliot Slessor, Stephen Hallworth, the Lincolnshire Sausage, Uma Dickme, Mohammed Shahab, Stuart Bingham, Bayou Lou, and Jimmy White. And your team was up against Ricky Walden's captain team with Joe O'Connor, Alex Ersenbecker, Wang Yukin, Rhiann Evans, Matthew Stevens, David Lilly, and Ethan Llewellyn, which is an interesting one because I seem to remember he had an okay tournament. So I'm excited for this. So Tom, you're the player that's behind at the minute, so 26-24. Would you like to pick who goes first?
Let's let you go first this time.
Oh, extend me lead, shall I? Right, so I'll leave Ricky Walden to last because he's double points. But we'll start off with Joe O'Connor. So the way this works, if he wins his first round, he gets 1 point. Second round, he gets 2 points, and so on and so on. All the points double as we go all the way to the final. So Joe O'Connor played in the first round match and lost. He lost to Dwayne Jones. So that's a nil point for Joe O'Connor. Alex Ersenbacher is going to be my next one. So I'm not even sure.
Federer.
Did he play? I don't think he did. I think he must have withdrawn. So, yes. I'm just going to double check. Alex, yep, he withdrew. So that is a 0.
Do we pick who replaced him? Is there
okay?
a way of finding
I don't know if we can find that out. It certainly has it for. It certainly has it for Ali Carter, but yeah, I don't.
Or is it easier if we just cross it out?
Let's just cross it out because it could end up being Alfie Burden, and we, Wang, you could. I feel like he played. He did, and he lost in the first round. This is not going well for me, Tom.
Oh, come on, this is good.
Well. I usually win the shootout. Rhian Evans lost in the first round. I mean, come on, what's going on here?
I love the shootout.
Matthew Stevens.
Oh, come on, Stevens.
Lost in the first round. Oh, my God. David Lilly, come on. He lost to bloody Alfie Burden in the first round. 49-46. It could have been David Lilly winning the whole event.
Oh,
right. So I'm down to Ethan Llewellyn, who, of course, is somebody that we've never heard of before, an amateur. Now, come on, Ethan. He won his first round match. He beat Riley Pell 33-17. So that's 1 point. He won in his second round against Ryan Day 54-11. So that's another 2 points. So he's on 3 at the minute. He then won his third round match against... Oh, sorry. His first round match was against Yao Peng Cheng. That's the one that I've missed out. So he won that as well. So we'll give him 4 points for that one. So he got 7 points for me in the end. But he did lose out in the end to Yuan Si Jun in the last 16. 131-7. Yuan Si Jun got a 1-2-6 break there. So that's 7 points, Tom. So now everything is resting on Ricky Walden, and I have an awful feeling that he didn't do that well. So, well, he won his first round match, 48-34 against Ryan Davis, and then he lost to Liam Highfield, 55-52, Tom. Oh, my God. So Ricky Walden just gets me 2 points, meaning that I get 9. That might be the lowest. Well, it matches your score from last year, Tom. You got 9 points last year.
Let's not bring that up. Let's not bring my disappointment back.
Actually, it doesn't beat 2023, the second running of it in 2023, the December tournament. Tom got 8 points there. So there you go. But that is comfortably my lowest score. The last 3 years I got 30, 72 and 35, and now I get 9. I've lost my magic in terms of predictions, Tom. I've completely lost it. It's really sad. But yeah, I suppose we need to now go through your team. So just like before, we'll leave the Smurf 360 till last, just in case you need those points doubled at the end. So we'll start with Elliot Slesser. Now, Elliot Slesser won his first round match against Louis Heathcourt, 91-1, so there's 1 point for you. He beat Paul DeVille, 76-6 in the second round, so he's now on 3 for you. And then he beat Ross Muir in the third round, 30-28, so he gets another 4 points for you there. So 7 points straight off the bat from Elliot Slesser. Well played, Tom.
And it's Joe's nemesis. That must hurt. That must really hurt right now, Joe.
He did lose in the next round, sadly for him. Stephen Hallworth lost in the first round, sadly for the Lincolnshire Sausage. He lost against Gao Yang. Umut Dickme. Let's see how Dickme did. Did he dick me over? No, he didn't. He lost in the first round to Ryan Day, so no points for Umut. No points for him. Mohammed Shahab, I don't think played in the tournament, so sadly, no points for him there. I can't find him anywhere on there.
Hold on. Well, Joe, there's a bit at the bottom that says on the Wikipedia page. It says stuff like Mohammed Shahab withdrew and was replaced by Simon Blackwell.
Oh, so do you want to see if Ersenbacher, who replaced Ersenbacher?
Yeah, well, he was replaced by Caden Brearley.
Right, I'm sure that's going to help, isn't it?
So do we want Joe to get that as a substitute? He gets Caden just to.
How do you spell his name? Is it
Kayden?
Okay. Hey, he won his first match. Way. And then lost to Kalen Patel in the next round. I mean, come on, you've got to beat Kalen Patel. So I'm going to put for Alex Ersenbacher 1 point. That takes me up to 10, at least double figures.
Joe, this is interesting. Just really quickly.
Yeah.
So the notes, it says Ali Carter withdrew and was then replaced by Alex Clenshaw, who also withdrew and was replaced by Alfie Burden. So Alfie replaced the replacement.
Bloody hell.
Alex Clenshaw should be gutted, frankly.
So who? It was Blackwell, wasn't it? So Simon Blackwell beat Rhiannon Evans, one of my players.
Yes, Simon.
And then lost to Stuart Bingham in the next round, which was one of your players. So it was a Tom Mayhew rivalry, that. Derby match.
That's the FA Cup draw of the shootout. It throws up these rivalry matches, a lot of history between those two players, Stuart Bingham and Simon Blackwell.
So Mohammed Shahab got you 1 point. Next we'll do Bayou Lou. So Bayou Lou won her first match against Elise Scott, who of course was a female as well. So in an all-female clash. So she won the first round, but lost in the second round to Oliver Brown. So just the 1 point for Bayou Lou. That puts you 1 point behind me now. Jimmy White, flying in practice.
He's been flying, Joe, flying.
But sadly, Oliver Brown got the better of you again because he beat Jimmy White in the first round. So that leaves you two players. Sean Murphy and Stuart Bingham, who, of course, got to the final. So,
run! Yes, you beautiful man!
So, he got 1 point for the first round. He got 2 points for the second round, so he's on 3. 4 points for the third round, so he's on 7. He then got 8 points for the last 16, which puts him on 15 points. He got 16 points for the quarterfinals, which puts him on 31. He then got 32 points for the semi-final, which puts him on 63 points. He was almost there for you, Tom. Almost there. If he'd won the final, he would have got another 64 points, and you would have got 127 just from Stuart Bingham. But 63, you'll have to settle for, Tom, which I think could be a record. it is a record, because apparently Stephen Hallworth got 62 points for me one year. I don't know how he got 62, but he did. So that is a world record-breaking total there for you, Tom. I mean, maybe Stephen Hallworth didn't, or Stephen Hallworth didn't have to play the first round or whatever, and we didn't give him that extra point. But 63 points for Tom there. So very well played. That puts you on 72 for the shootout. This is why I wanted to do a running total, by the way.
I love this.
And Sean Murphy, you've still got Sean Murphy in his double points. So Sean Murphy won his first round match against Patrick Whelan. So he's on 2 points for you here, but lost against Luca Brissell in the second round. So just the 2 points for Sean Murphy, giving you a grand total of 74 points, which, Tom, is a shootout record. Well done. Well done.
Oh.
Very well done.
As Joe was reading the Stuart Bingham scores, I was just relaxing like I was in a Bingham hot tub, just having a real just enjoying the moment, enjoying the ball run atmosphere. It was beautiful stuff. Thank you, Stuart Bingham.
And so you should. So that's added to your 24 points from the UK Championships. You are now on 98 points. You're almost a ton up time, whereas I'm on 36. So, yeah. Never mind.
But it's all to play for. Joe, hey, let's not get carried away. For all we know, Joe, Barry Hawkins could have won the Masters.
He might well have done. But anyway, we're not going to talk about the Masters yet, because Scottish Open, we wouldn't normally talk about this, Tom, but we have to. With a podcast faithful, like Strictly Chris Wakelin, getting his first proper snooker ranking event victory. I mean, come on, Chris Wakelin, well played. And how lovely was it to see him win it? He won it with a century as well. He played really well against Chang Bing Yu in the final, who'd had an awesome week as well. And the Scottish Open is always an interesting one, because lots of players withdraw from that because it's just before Christmas. But fair play to Chris Wakelin for getting that ranking tournament, and I don't think there's two people that could be happier for Chris Wakelin than us two, Tom, because we absolutely love Chris Wakelin, and great to see him on there. How did it make you feel when you saw him lift that silverware?
Oh, I was delighted for him. I mean, he's a player who's been unlucky with who he's played in ranking finals. You know, coming against, well, not unlucky because that's tournaments, but you know, he played Judd, he played Ding, so they would have been heavy favourites each time. This was probably the first time where he was the actual favourite. And I mean, he looked it. He played brilliantly. He did a good job. You know, he probably had his lovely shoes on, and probably up around the table. And yeah, genuinely, you know, I think he's one of those kind of emerging British talents who has been knocking on the door for a while, and so it was lovely to see him finally get over the line. A bit like, you know, people like Gary Wilson at the Scottish Open. It's good to see some of the you know, players sort of bubbling outside the top 16, managing to have a bit of a breakthrough tournament. And I was chuffed for him because it put him comfortably back in the top 16. And it's always lovely to see he seems like a lovely character, Chris. He is,
absolutely. So, he wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? And you know, I think he's a great player, and it is good to see somebody just consistently improving. A bit like a Zhao Guodong, you know, who has consistently improved over the last few years, and actually is now a reasonably comfortable top 16 player. Although it was his debut at the Masters this year, Zhao Guodong. I don't quite know how he missed out last year, but he somehow did. He must have been number 17 in the world, I guess, last year. But
literally, as you were saying just then about Zhao Guodong, I was just thinking that, because neither of us picked up that it was his debut. It was his first time in the Masters, because it felt like he must have been there last year. I guess he must have been someone who was on the cusp and would have just missed out. But
yeah, maybe.
Maybe he was top 16 for the world, and then we just in our heads.
Yeah.
Oh, you must be top 16. We thought it was the old ranking system back in the day where you're ranked at the start of the season, and that was
I loved that.
Are you nostalgic that, Joe? Did
I
you like
am,
that?
yeah, because it meant that Steve Davis was just still in the top 16 for all the tournaments of a year, even though he lost virtually in the first round of every tournament. It was fantastic, but yeah, I suppose we now have to go on to the Masters. It's a nice segue to that. I don't want to talk about it, Tom. But anyway, I made some very bold predictions for the Masters, didn't I? Let's just put it that way. Although, looking back at it, I don't actually think they were that bold. But they just all went the opposite way to what was predicted. So we obviously had the 6-2s in the first round. It was pretty crazy, really, that every match was 1-6-2. I think there were odds of, if you'd picked the winner and the scoreline, it would have been 9 million to 1. So that's just unbelievable. And actually, it was a really sort of drab opener, wasn't it, to the Masters? The first 4 days were really quite disappointing. And I guess, obviously, Ronnie withdrew just before the tournament. Again, that always, puts a bit of a dampener on a tournament. And nobody really stepped up to take that mantle. But the Smurf came out day one. He played absolutely terribly, didn't he, against Wu Yiza?
Yeah, he wasn't good. He wasn't good. It wasn't the Sean Murphy we know and love, or the one we expected, I think.
And you know what's frustrating, Tom, is I said it in the podcast. I said there's always a debutant that comes to the tournament and storms to the semi-final. And I'd even said Wu Yiza could be that player. I would have looked like a genius if I'd predicted that. However, we both backed Smurf 360 to win that opening match, and we were both wrong. So we're both on 0 there, Tom. Sadly. We then had Mark Selby and Zhao Gudong. And Mark Selby, of course, had the chance of completing the Triple Crown in a season, and we both backed him to do quite well in this tournament. But Zhao Gudong, what a performance. 6-2 on his debut as well, to beat Mark Selby, who's just won the UK Championship. Okay, Mark Selby wasn't at his best. He wasn't anywhere near it, but what a performance from Zhao Gudong. I mean, how does that result stack up for you, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, especially as a debutant, we did talk about C being maybe a bit nervous, and we thought maybe he wouldn't be able to get the job done. And then Zhao Gudong, especially, I didn't even factor him in being a debutant during the predictions.
Yeah.
But as a debutant, I would have thought that he might have struggled a bit like Mighty Mouse himself.
Zhang Anda,
Zhang Anda, who struggled a few years back when he was in the top 16. But yeah, he played incredibly, fully deserved his 6-2, and well, that's a scoreline that we're people are going to be sick of by the end of this this conversation. But
well, yes, because the next match, of course, Ronnie O'Sullivan's late withdrawal led to Chris Wakelin joining the gang, and he started really, really well against Neil Robertson. But Neil Robertson was just too good for him in the end, wasn't he? But Chris Wakelin, again, making a really positive impact. The crowd got behind him. There was a moment where he tried to correct the referee on where the ball was spotted. And I think it was it the brown or the green, whatever, wouldn't go on its own spot, so he put it on the pink spot. And then Chris was like, well, why is it not on the brown spot, let's say? And the ref was saying, because it's the highest available. And Chris just looked completely baffled. It was really weird that he tried to correct the referee on that. But Yeah, Neil Robertson 162, and Tom, you might be surprised to know this because I backed Ronnie O'Sullivan, but obviously when I changed my prediction, I said in the podcast if Ronnie O'Sullivan withdraws, I'll back Neil Robertson. So thankfully, I backed Neil Robertson at the last minute to win that match, which got me.
Oh, this could have been exceptional. I mean, it already is exceptional, but
Which got me 1
God,
point
Joe.
there, Tom. It also got you 1 point.
Oh, I was going to say, Joe, I thought you were going to be winning for a second. Okay,
No.
well, 1-1 then.
No, you'd
so it's
already
close.
backed Neil Robertson. So, yeah.
It's very close then, 1-1. Could go either way.
And then we had Kyron Wilson, Seja Wee. You'd backed Kyron to win. I'd backed C to win. Kyron 162, of course. And again, playing really well. Obviously, he's got a new cue, and he's quite happy with his new cue. And played really well. 6-2 against C. Judd Trump beat Ding Junhui 6-2. Again, I'd back Ding to win that one. So, Judd, well played. You'd back Judd Trump to win that one. So another point for you in the bag. Mark Williams, Mark Allen. Mark Williams played terribly. Mark Allen played just a little bit better. And he won 6-2. And you backed him to win. I backed Mark Williams to win. So it's another point for Tom. Tom's currently leading 4-1. Then this was the controversial one, Tom. This was the controversial. And I think actually you went a bit far with this in the last podcast. I don't think my prediction was that ridiculous. But anyway, I obviously backed Barry Hawkins to win this match against John Higgins because John Higgins has an awful record at the Masters, particularly at Ali Pali. So I'd went for Barry Hawkins here. John Higgins played outstanding snooker, 162, fair play to him. So that was another point for you, Tom. And obviously no point for me. And then Zhao Xintong beat Gary Wilson. Don't know why I backed Gary Wilson, but I did. And Zhao Xintong won that 6-2. So at the end of the first round, Tom, you lead 6-1. Do you have any memories other than the 6-2 about the first round?
Well, I was very happy with my predictions. That's the main thing I remember. I got 6 of 8 correct. That's incredible form today.
You got 12 out of 16 on the UKs, and 6 out of 10. 6 out of 8 in the Masters. That's really impressive. It's really impressive.
Well,
and to be fair, Tom, you usually make some ridiculous predictions, so it's a good turnaround of form that you didn't give in to the silliness. You didn't back any of the silly players this time. Fair play. Beat me fair and square there.
I think that meant that you had to back the silly players just to try and give yourself an edge.
Then you look at who I backed in the first round. I backed Sean Murphy, Mark Selby, Neil Robertson, Seja Wee, Ding Junhui, Mark Williams, Barry Hawkins, Gary Wilson. Like, I think at least 5 of them were reasonably realistic chances. It just so happened that none of them came through for me. And in fact, if I'd backed Chris Wakelin to replace my Ronnie, or if I'd backed Ronnie and he'd lost, I would have got no points in this contest. Absolutely none. And I'll talk about that in a minute, Tom. But yeah, I mean, the first round was crazy, and so something like that will never happen again. You might be happy to know, Tom, once the 5th 6-2 went in, I put a little accumulator on for the last 3 matches to finish. Once the first 7 came in, I backed the last match to be 6-2, and I backed the first 2 quarterfinals to be 6-2, which would have got me 650 quid. The last match did finish 6-2. Which gave me a cash out option of 45 quid. So I took the cash out on that, which I'm happy for. But yeah, I did do it. I did give in. I wish I'd done it earlier, but there you go. There you go. But
There we go. I'm glad you got.
I got
one
something out of
positive
this.
result.
Yeah, got something out of it. But anyway, into the quarterfinals then. Wu Yize, of course, beat Zhao Gudong 6-0. I mean, what a ridiculously good performance from Zhao Gudong there. And yeah, I mean, obviously neither of us backed either of those players to get the quarterfinals, so no points for either of us there. But what? How do you feel about Wu Yize at this tournament? What do you think? It was a real breakout tournament for him?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it reminds me of Si Jiaowei at the World Championships, and you know, well, I guess everyone always throws back to Ding, when he first broke through, and I think a young player having their first decent run at a Triple Crown can make a career. I really do think that, and especially I think one telling stat was that is he 22, Wu Yize, I think. And
Yeah.
the youngest British player at the Masters was Chris Wakelin, who I think is 33 or 34. And when you think of Wu Yize, Si Jiaowei, Pang, all these, it's been a bit of a cliche, a Dennis cliche about the young Chinese players, but right now we really are seeing a lot of them come through. I mean,
Yeah.
Xing Tong, Bing Tao, we forget about him, but do you know what I mean? Like, we are seeing all these young players from China come through, and I do feel like they're probably approaching a period of dominance because there's very few young British players who can come close to them right now.
Yeah, I mean, do you possibly see in 20 years that snooker looks more like a sort of table tennis type sport where we do just have Chinese players, locking out semi-finals and finals of events? It's a decent possibility, I think.
It's hard not to see that being the situation, because if you think of all the players in their 20s who've won a ranking event, and it's all going to be, it's going to be people like Lei Pei Fan or like Yang Bingtao, like Zhao
Or
Xingtong, of
Wu
course.
Yize, yeah.
Yeah, and
I,
so
I guess you will have some British players and maybe other nationalities as well, Belgian, German. There will be some, but the volume of Chinese players and the volume of funding that goes into that, and actually you just think as a population, China is just so much bigger than anywhere else that plays snooker. So. I guess the only other sort of place that could maybe compete with that in the future is somewhere like India. If India got really into snooker, which they did a few years ago, but then it seems to have dropped off a little bit. But wow, I mean, yeah, it is the revolution has come. I think it's come a lot later than people expected, and I guess that's because we've got so many players in their sort of mid-40s and into their early 50s that are still hanging around, but even 10 years into the future, you're looking at Neil Robertson being in his mid-50s and Ronnie being 60. Like, you can't realistically see that those players in 10 years are going to still be in the top 16. And that's pretty crazy. Even the likes of Judd Trump, I think he'll be 46 in 10 years. And do we see Judd Trump performing at the level he is now and the level of the class of 92, for instance, at that age? I don't think so, because I don't think he's of the same class, actually, in terms of that longevity. So, yeah, I guess you'll maybe still see the likes of Judd and Kyron up there, but of the rest of the top 16 at the minute, maybe none of them, none of the British players will still be knocking about. And yeah, that's an interesting thought. But yeah, well played, Wu Yize, and I think he's going to be a big part of the future. And a lot of people are going to be backing him. The crowd already going woo as he comes in, and it's like root in the cricket. So fair play. And then I think the next match was the absolute, maybe the match of the tournament, actually. Neil Robertson against Kyron Wilson, because Kyron Wilson went 4-1 up, of course, against Neil. Neil came back to lead 5-4, was in amongst the balls, and there was a fraction that the cue ball travelled, and he wasn't on a red or a colour, whatever it was at the time. And yeah, so somehow Kyron came back to win that match 6-5, and Tom ended my hopes in this year's Masters, because that was it. That was my last horse in the Grand National, I'm afraid, and yeah, fell at the second fence. So I ended the Masters with 1 point, Tom. And then just on that note, where do you think that placed me out of 863 entries?
I'd like to think there'd be some. I mean, it's really difficult because, unlike most tournaments, I think the Masters is hard. It's impressive to get that few points in the Masters because there's so few matches that it just feels like you get a few right. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the players should be quite well suited and well seeded and quite accurate. So there must be a few people who got 0. So I'm gonna say maybe you'd be 800th.
I was 860th, Tom. There was 2 people that were equally as bad as me, Kevin Andrews and Savannah Kent. They also got 1 point. And poor Marley Bannister. Marley Bannister didn't predict a single match right. He backed Chris Wakelin in that Neil Robertson match. And everything else... I mean, to be fair, he backed Barry Hawkins to get to the final of that tournament, and backed Sean Murphy to win in the final. So Marley Bannister, I mean, if you're watching, Marley, thank you is all I can say, for being even worse at the prediction than me. But I think you said at the time you thought I would be the only person to back Barry Hawkins to win the tournament. Well, in fact, I'll have you know, Tom, Stan Palmqvist in Sweden, who finished 80th in the contest, also backed Barry Hawkins to win. We had Marcus Cullen from Sweden, who backed Barry Hawkins to win. Anders Johnson, who was also from Sweden, backed Barry Hawkins to win. Who knew Barry Hawkins had so many Swedish fans? We had Marlon Kay from Germany, and we had Lula Witzescher from Germany, who also backed Barry Hawkins. So there was 6 of us that backed Big Baz to win the tournament. But there was a decent number that backed Chris Wakelin, you know. There was about 30 people that backed Chris Wakelin to win the tournament. More than John Higgins. I mean, come on.
Well, who's Chris Wakelin paying to big him up on this website?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some Italians in there. There's a Malaysian in there backing Chris Wakelin, Romania, Pakistan. You know, all the countries backing good old Strictly Chris. So even somebody from Iran backed Chris Wakelin. Like that is amazing, isn't it? But there you go. I thought you'd quite enjoy that little tidbit of information there. So yeah, I ended the contest with 0 points. Moving on, 1 point. Sorry. Moving on. Judd Trump.
Yeah, don't put yourself down, Joe. You got 1 point.
Judd Trump beat Mark Allen 6-2. I mean, that was a horrendous match. But it was another 6-2. And then there was another great match with Higgins and Zhao Xintong. Xintong was 5-3 up in that match, but John Higgins just does what John Higgins does and came back to win 6-5 in the end. And you must have been getting pretty excited at this point, thinking, "Oh my word, I'm gonna actually win this prediction. And to be fair, Tom, you only got 2 points out of that quarterfinal because John Higgins was the only one that you backed to go past the quarterfinal. Mark Selby obviously wasn't there. Neil Robertson lost to Kyron Wilson, and Mark Allen lost to Judd Trump. So John Higgins was your only horse after that. So you're on 9 points at the minute, which does take you past the ton-up mark, doesn't it? 107 you're on cumulatively now.
But what a horse John Higgins is. He's a beautiful horse.
What a horse. A prized horse, some might say. And then we had the semi-finals, and of course, Kyron Wilson, Wu Yiza kicked us off. No, it was John Higgins and Judd Trump, wasn't it, that kicked us off in the afternoon. What a match that was, and I was very, very happy to see Judd Trump not win that. And he actually... I've said it before and I'll say it again. Judd Trump is not good under pressure. He is not good under pressure. He missed a straight brown for the victory. It wasn't an easy brown, but just hitting it too hard. And I think that is the massive Achilles heel of Judd Trump. And I think he's only won 43% of deciding frames this season. So if you get Judd Trump in a decider, you've got a decent chance. And John Higgins, well, I feel like nobody's ever described him as bad under pressure. He's probably the best pressure player of all time, coming through that 6-5 to get into the final. And again, bump up your predictions, Tom. And Kyron obviously beat Wu Yiza 6-5 in the other semi-final. What a semi-final Saturday we had.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of... I wish that was the final, to be honest. The final would have struggled to have followed that day because it was so exciting and two great comebacks by brilliant players and, real battling performance by both Kyron and Higgins. And it felt like it was going to be building up to really exciting sort of classic final. But I think maybe they used too much of their energy in those semi-finals. The final was... It was an interesting watch. It's always exciting, it's always interesting, but it wasn't a vintage final, I think people will say.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really excited for it. I think, two top players, Kyron Wilson and John Higgins, and for the first time in a long time, I went into the match sort of not bothered who wins, in the best possible way of like, I'm just going to enjoy this because I'd be really happy for either of them to win this tournament. I think I've said a few times, Kyron's sort of become my favourite player in the sort of absence of Ronnie O'Sullivan. I love the fact that he won, but John Higgins, of course, hasn't won a Triple Crown since 2011. That would have been a really incredible story, even though I knew it was not looking good for me in the predictions contest. Just an incredible final of players, but you're right, the standard wasn't as good as it could have been. And actually, what we've seen of a trend in Triple Crowns is that the semi-finals do seem to be better than the finals because the semi-finals are taking so much out of the players that actually the final struggles to live up to that.
Yeah, it's the old cliche of, the semi-final being the worst place to lose, and it feels like, players you just want to get to the final. When you're at the stage, the worst thing to do is to lose in the semi-final. So players are giving so much to those matches just to try and get over the line and say, I've given myself a shot at the trophy, that then when they get to the final, I know there was a big thing about people thinking Willow was tired during his World Championship final, and I think both players looked a bit, well, I'm not tired, but I mean that the whole final, Higgins' long potting, it was like he was a different player from the rest of the tournament. He couldn't sink a long pot to save his life. It was unbelievable. I've never seen him that bad at long pot. It was at something like 20%.
Considering his long potting had been so good, it had actually been a highlight of the tournament how good his long potting was. I think when they run those little stats along the bottom, he was always consistently one of the best players in the tournament. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, he didn't play well, and I think he'll be really frustrated that actually it was 10-6. You know, if John Higgins played 10% better, he might have won that match. And that's got to be a big regret for John Higgins. And sadly, you know, he has got this awful trend of late of losing finals. I mean, it's actually pretty crazy when you look at his record. That he's only won 3 of his last 10, 12 finals. You know,
Wow.
if you look at, he's lost the Masters, obviously. He lost in the Champion of Champions 2021. He lost in the Masters 2021. Lost in the Six Red World Championship 2019. I'm just looking at when he has won tournaments. So yeah, since 2019, and that loss in the Six Red World Championship final, he's only won 3 finals. So yeah, whereas he's lost 12. So he's won 3 out of 15 finals. So that's got a grate on you a lot, hasn't it? And lots of those have been either 10-9, 9-8. He's lost a lot of deciders. Obviously, he had the World Championship final against Mark Williams in 2018 as well, which was really close. So he's lost a lot of close finals. And it was an opportunity for him, wasn't it? But fair play to Kyron Wilson. You know, delighted to see him complete part 2 of his Triple Crown and sort of back up that World Championship victory. I know he had an incredible season last year, but to go again this year and win a Triple Crown event, I think it really shows that Kyron's now an elite player. He's possibly going to be world number 1 fairly soon if he continues to win tournaments in the second half of the season. And if he was to win the World Championship again this year, then he'd almost certainly be world number 1. And I think maybe on his day, he is the best player in the world at the minute.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think there's many players who his all-round game is just there, and he's got that confidence. I think now. I don't think Higgins has that in finals anymore. I feel like when Higgins gets to finals, it's almost like he's relieved and goes, "Oh, I didn't think I was going to be here," and then falls into like underdog mode, and that's not the Higgins who would win tournaments. The Higgins who would win tournaments would turn up knowing, "Oh, I think I'm the best player."
Yeah.
And when you lose that kind of ego and that confidence, he's just not got. Yeah, he's just not got the same spark as he maybe used to, and it's so weird because his long potting was so poor, and even if that was a little bit better, it could have easily been 8-8 at some point, and then anyone could have won it because, you know, I think Kyron did deserve the tournament. He deserves to win it overall, but I don't think it was a dominant victory. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there was very few points where I felt like, oh, he's blown Higgins away. There was about 2 centuries, both by Kyron. I think Higgins didn't make one. So it wasn't a tournament where, or a final, I should say, where, you know, it wasn't the best by either player. But then I guess all that matters at the end of the day is that Kyron won. He does deserve a second Triple Crown. We again, as we probably say every 6 months, will this player from the class of 92 get back into a final? We keep thinking it's the last time.
Yeah. But you know,
Higgins,
a class of 92 has been in 2 of the last 3, so yeah.
But I think especially with Higgins though, to keep losing in finals, you do worry how much that's gonna damage that resilience and that bottle.
Yeah.
And you know, it's strange because I think for a long time, you know, the class of 92, people would have gone, oh, you know, favourites for a title would have been Ronnie, Higgins, then Willow. I think nowadays people would probably say Willow, Ronnie, Higgins.
Yeah.
I think it's completely changed nowadays because, you know, you don't see Higgins getting over the line. Ronnie is up and down whether he even plays the tournament.
Yeah.
So I think Willow is kind of top at the moment. I would say.
Absolutely, and I think if there's anybody that's going to be in the top 16 in 3 years' time, it'll probably be Willow. I think because he I know John plays in everything as well, but it feels like Williams plays in everything, and he seems to do well in most tournaments that he plays in these days. So, but yeah, it'll change around. Ronnie will probably win the World Championship now, and yeah. That's what's so great about them. But no, I totally agree with you. But one thing John Higgins has done is won you this contest. You got 12 points, Tom, and that got you 80th place in the event predictions. So in the top 10%. So well done, Tom. Awesome job. And that puts you on 110 cumulative points for today's episode. So very well done. Ton up. 110 plays 37. You have absolutely hammered me. It's fair to say. What did you think of the coverage of the Masters this year with the BBC?
Well, I mean, it's always lovely to have Hazel. It wouldn't be the same without Hazel. I'm not sure really, because I know they're trying to mix it all up, aren't they? I think did that start off the World Championship? They had new graphics and stuff like that. They had a new team working on it, so I think they're always trying to change things up. But we don't like change as snooker fans. I don't think you like it to stay the same. Don't give us a golden ball. Don't throw that in there. Don't. Snooker fans get annoyed when they go, this tournament they're going to wear a polo shirt, and snooker fans go, no, we can't wear polo shirts.
Well, let me just rephrase that. Proper snooker fans, I think, don't want change. For me, you know, I think the vast majority of the coverage was brilliant. I really like the feature of Masters Memories this year. I don't know if you saw that, where they did like different eras of the Masters, and in particular the one that they did from 2000 up to 2025. That was really nostalgic for me of sort of rewatching a lot of the things that I'd seen live at the time, and that was really nice. You know, particular memories of Ronnie beating Ding in 2007, 10-3 in the final. I distinctly remember that tournament, and
yes.
That was really nice. One thing I didn't like, and this is something that continues over from the UK Championship and even last year's World Championship, is so there wasn't a Smurf. He wasn't a part of the team again, so it's the second BBC tournament in a row, so I'm not sure what's going on there. The other thing I don't like is the alternating of John and Dennis. I'd just have both of them, because they don't have lead commentators, really. They really tried to get Rob Walker to be a new lead commentator. I don't think people really like Rob Walker in the box. I think he is getting better, but they don't like that. They've really tried to play John Parrott as a lead commentator role. He even opened the Masters final this year, and I don't, as much as I love John Parrott, I don't think he's quite got the voice to be a lead commentator. He's a brilliant colour commentator, is what I call it, the sort of second commentator role. I think he's fantastic at that. Just like Stephen Hendry is fantastic at that. Steve Davis is brilliant at that. Even Ken, you know, I don't think any of them are lead commentator quality. Dennis and John are the only ones that are capable of doing that at the minute for me. And Dave Hendon, obviously, Phil Yates, you know, they're able to do it. So that's one thing. But they've got an insistence, Tom, and I don't know if you've noticed it, but of having the players coach in the commentary box. So they did it with Joe Perry here at the Masters for Neil Robertson. They do it with Lee Walker every time that Mark Williams is playing. And as much as I love Joe Perry in the commentary box, I don't want to see him commentating on Neil Robertson. I thought it was really apparent at the end of the Kyron Wilson match. That was 6-5. Joe Perry looked absolutely gutted that Neil Robertson had lost, and I'm not sure that's what I want to see, personally.
Yeah, there's a real conflict of interest, isn't it? It's a bit like, I think there's been occasions in the past where they've had Judd or Jack doing punditry on their good mate Jack/Judd, and it's like, yeah, but he's talking about his mate. This is weird. It's really, really weird. It's a bit like the ex-Man United players talking about Man United.
Yeah,
and you feel
absolutely.
like
When you've got Neville and Carragher commentating on the Liverpool-Man United match, it's a bit weird. I don't mind it as much with football, because I guess with football, you've very much got your team, haven't you, that you support. Whereas with snooker, I don't think anybody is like, right, Ronnie is the only player I support, down with everybody else. You know, like, I don't think you've got that. There's obviously players you like more than others, but I don't like the coach commentating. I don't like the coach working on that match. I'm absolutely fine with Joe Perry and Lee Walker being pundits or commentators if they want that. But I don't believe for 1 minute that either of those two would be anywhere near the Masters coverage if it wasn't for commentating on their coached players.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Lee Walker's wouldn't it be nowhere near? Definitely, yeah.
Joe Perry is a very respected commentator, but would he be on the Masters yet in his career? I don't think so. You know, and the fact that the likes of Dennis, presumably Sean Murphy, maybe that's his own decision, I don't know, but those guys are missing out. I mean, I really like Sean Murphy in the commentary box. I think he's been a fantastic addition to the BBC team, and I think he will be one of the classics, like Ken or Stephen or Davis. He will be a part of that team for years to come. So I'd be really annoyed if he's been sort of put to the wayside so that they can get the coaches in. That's just my view on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, only Sean Murphy will be able to tell us.
Yeah.
Sean, if you're listening, let us know. I'm
sure he is.
But yeah, I don't really think, if we as snooker nerds don't care about the coaches, I don't think most of the general public really care, or not. You know, no one's sat watching Sean Murphy going like, oh, I really want to hear Peter Ebdon's opinion on. No one cares. No. Do you know what I mean? No one is clamoring for that. And apart from maybe 5 minutes of like a tidbit insight, that's all they can offer. You don't want them on commentary for 2 hours, because they can't offer that much.
I don't mind it as much at the World Championship when there's so many matches, so many sessions. You've got to rotate your commentary team. But at the Masters, where ultimately there's only, 15 matches, isn't it, I think, overall, in the whole tournament, and there's only one match at a time, I don't really see why you need to be putting in commentators that would be so far down the pecking order. You know, I'm being harsh on Joe Perry. He's worked for the BBC a lot. You know, I'm not more Lee Walker, really. You know, being that he would be reasonably far down the pecking order of a BBC commentator list, I would imagine, for most people. And the fact that they do this alternating of John and Dennis, it just seems a bit stupid to me. Of well, why not use them while you've still got the chance to use them? You know, because ultimately, in 10 years, it's fairly certain they won't be commentating on the BBC for one reason or another, and that's going to be a big loss to the sport. So keep making those memories, keep having those funny moments with them on commentary, because let's be honest, when they're not commentating, those funny moments tend not to happen.
Yeah, the only person I think reliably who was on commentary who could be quite funny, well, no, two I'd say Steve Davis can come up with some good lines, and Crafty Ken I think can be brilliant. He can be, he is a proper laugh. You know, I think he's the best apart from Dennis and JV, the best sort of colour commentator. I just think he's really good at having a light-hearted
Yeah.
thing to it. But
Yeah.
how would you feel, Joe, about in 10 years the idea of there being a robot or AI JV and Dennis?
You know what? If it gives me more Dennis and John, absolutely fine. I mean, obviously, Tom, the dream is that I can take over this lead commentary role and commentate and get their quips in myself. But you know, there's Patsy Fagan, there's Vicky. I mean, that would be the dream. I don't really get why the BBC don't go for Dave Hendon, to be honest, and try and get him in as a consistent voice on the Triple Crown tournaments.
I imagine he might just have a deal with Eurosport. It could
I'm
be
sure
as
he
simple
does.
as
I'm sure he does, but
he's got an exclusive deal with them, maybe. But,
I would feel
especially now that
like he would sign up for that, because we had Alan McManus. He obviously did the BBC and he also did Eurosport at the same time. So it's not unheard of that people can work for two broadcasters. So, but I don't know.
I guess it's the difficulty that things like the Masters might be on Eurosport and BBC, so they have to have separate brands and separate. You can't have the same person commentating on both.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. But it's what it is. I just wanted to get that out there. I think that's my view on it. You know, you've given your view as well. But let us know what you think down in the comment sections to all of the tournaments that we've talked about. Please congratulate Tom on his victory as well. But, of course, this wouldn't be a Snooker Loopy podcast if we didn't have a little bit of silliness in it. So we've got a very, very quick, Tom, cue the laughter. So shall we cue the laughter?
Let's cue it. Here we go. And this is linked to commentators, I believe.
It is. So, of course, Matt from Borough sent us in a little clip of Stephen Hendry last time, talking about how good a humping he's had from Mark Selby in the past. So Matt has been on the prowl once again to find some other stuff. But I thought I would read out his sort of email around it, a bit of Fancheng email, Tom, just to get us into the swing of things. So he said, good evening, Hazel. Good evening, everybody at home. As much as I'd love to keep talking about Mark Selby giving Stephen Hendry a good few humpins, I have some serious snooker questions for you both for your bumper January review. So this is part of it here. I've noticed the young Chinese players, Dennis Taylor, are starting to become more frequent at the back end of big tournaments and take up more of the top 16 than ever before. Following your discussion around snooker clubs a few weeks back, where I agree on Teesside there's only one snooker club for miles, I do wonder if over the next decade or two we're really going to see the acceleration of Chinese players coming through versus English players, and therefore in a few decades Chinese players dominating the sport. If or when that happens, I can see the majority of big tournaments moving across to China and snooker predominantly becoming a Chinese sport. What are your thoughts? I mean, we have talked about that, funnily enough, in this podcast. I think it could well do become a sort of Chinese-focused sport. Whether all of the big tournaments will move out there, I don't know, because I still think a large part of snooker's revenue comes from the UK. You know, for ticket sales and merchandise, and I guess that would be really tough to replace if you just had it exclusively out in China, because it would virtually kill the sport in the UK if we didn't have any tournaments here anymore, because it would all be on TNT presumably. You wouldn't get any sort of television coverage on terrestrial TV. But I don't know what you think about that, Tom.
I don't think all the tournaments will move over there. I do feel there'll be probably a lot more, maybe similar to the numbers we had pre-COVID, where we there would have been 3 or 4 ranking tournaments in China. But I do feel like snooker, they're still trying to make it more accessible everywhere. So I do feel like there could be more tournaments in other places like Belgium, like Australia, stuff like that. I'd like to see them spread out. I do feel like in terms of top players, though, we are going to see it dominated by Chinese players, as we said, purely because the Chinese government have consistently spent a lot of money and invested a lot into the sport.
Yeah.
Whereas sadly, our government haven't,
Yeah.
and whereas snooker in China has gone up and up, for in the UK it's gone down. We've talked before about snooker clubs closing, and what we need to be that this should be a big red alert for the funding authorities in the UK to go, oh my God, we need to do something, because really, as a country, we should be going, no, we want to compete. We want to keep ourselves up there. We want to keep ourselves on top of this sport, which we helped popularize and we've dominated for this song. So we need there to be more funding and more grassroots initiatives to get people into the game, because without it, well, we're seeing what the sport is at the moment, and it's going to be tough times. I could see a point in the future where we could easily go, or like the Premier League, where they go, there's been no British manager who's won the Premier League in its entirety, and that's been over 30 years. And
no
the
English manager, we should point out.
English. Sorry, we've had Scottish, and but yeah, I do worry we could see something similar with snooker and world championships. Maybe not to that degree, but yeah, in terms of the sport in this country, it's sad seeing it kind of be neglected. Really.
Yeah, and I guess what we have to hope for is that we get a Luke Littler coming through. I can't say his name. Hopefully it's not somebody called Luke Littler, because I won't be able to say it on the podcast. But but there you go. Yeah, we need that Luke Littler to come through. I mean, look at the explosion of darts. Darts has absolutely gone from strength to strength. Most of the kids at school talk about darts now. They have dartboards at home. Obviously, darts is a much more accessible sport for getting a dartboard in your home than a full-size snooker table. But I guess that's what we need, is that sort of young explosion of talent from England to come and hit the snooker world by storm. We need another Ronnie, sadly, is what we need for snooker to get those heights of popularity again in the UK. I think it would help if we had a sort of big break style show come along. They've brought back Bullseye on ITV. I feel like BBC need to bring back Big Break. I think it's a good time to bring it back. Snooker is still popular, certainly with the ratings. I mean, it's got to be BBC Two's biggest pull of ratings. I don't know what else anybody would watch on there. Like over 1 million people sometimes for the World Championship. Certainly the final, they get upwards of 3 or 4 million watching it. I can't imagine anything else on BBC Two gets that sort of ratings. And I always say, I was saying to my wife, actually, because every time we turned the telly on during the snooker period, it would be on BBC Two, and then we'd get into watching Robson Green's weekend getaways or whatever, and I wonder how many people end up watching Robson Green because they were watching the snooker and it finished early and then that came on. I mean, I wonder if you see that little ratings boost for those shows when the snooker's on. So you look at the future of BBC Two. If snooker was to go, it's got to be one of the crown jewels of BBC Two's schedule, I would imagine. But but yeah, I think that's a big point, and I think we've said before we'd love to actually do a little bit of a walk around some of the snooker clubs in the country actually, and see just what's going on out there, and you know, we will hopefully try and plan something over the next couple of years where we actually, you know, go and visit some classic snooker clubs and just see what the vibe is in these places, because you know, I know the snooker club I go to, it's very busy all the time, but I know other places around the world, around the UK, really struggling. So that'll definitely be interesting. But he also said, and I guess this is linked, as a huge Ronnie fan like yourselves, I was disappointed once again that he pulled out of the Masters. Now he's moved to Dubai. I think we're going to see Ronnie playing less and less in the UK. Agreed. And this might be the first major sign his retirement may be looming. Can you see him still being in the sport in 5 years? And how much will the sport suffer without him? Matt says he hopes he plays until he's 100. Sorry for the too long questions. Keep up the great work as always. I'm off to hunt down Elliot Slesser and his big shiny head. So there you go. I mean, yeah, we talked about Ronnie in the past. I mean, what's funny is, and I've spoken about this on the podcast before. In 2009, the BBC did a little feature with some well-known snooker journalists and whatever, predicting what the top 5 would be in 5 years' time. So 2014 at the time. And I think they were all predicting that, you know, be the Chinese Revolution, whatever. Ronnie would have retired. So, you know, we look at that. In 2009, people were talking about Ronnie not lasting in the sport for the next 5 years. We've had, at this point, another 17 years of Ronnie, a lot of success. You know, in that time, he's won the Worlds in 2012, 2013, 2020 and 2022. So he's won another 4 world titles. He's won numerous Masters and UK championships as well. He's broke pretty much every record that exists in snooker since 2009. So I would always take a bit of caution in saying Ronnie won't be around in 5 years, because I think we're in a little bit of a spell of where Ronnie's not in love with the sport and not playing as much. Now, the caveat to that is Ronnie's also 50 now, whereas back then he was in his 30s. So that's a big caveat to whether will he be playing when he's 55? I'm not certain, but I think he probably will be, and I think at some point over the next couple of years, he will knuckle down again and play in everything again and win a few more tournaments, and maybe that's when he'll call it a day. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I think that it's, I mean, yeah, being in your 50s, a lot of it could come down literally to his health and how well he feels that he can play. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he will. I think Ronnie will play until he feels like he can't play at a top level. But as long as he always feels like he's got that game in there, I don't know why he would stop, why he'd walk away. I think he has at times done interviews where he said he wants to sort of make the most of his last 5 years or 10 years in the sport, whatever it is. So I don't feel like he's imminently going to walk away. And I mean, part of me feels like he could be like a Jimmy White and someone who might play for a long time.
Yeah.
Partly because I think even when Ronnie is 60, he'll be enough of a draw for World Snooker to go, look, we want you in this tournament. We'll pay you 10 grand just to be in it. Which has happened in the past with other tournaments.
Yeah.
You know, Ronnie's had his own sort of fee to show up when it was like Premier League snooker or whatever. I think he was given a certain amount. So I could see that being a situation where in the future, you know, even if he's not the same standard, he's still such a draw that it makes sense for World Snooker to keep him involved. And I think he will still be about. I think he could do more stuff with the seniors, even on Channel 5, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to disappear, because what else is he going to do? You know, I mean, he can't just run and cook all the time. I think he would miss the sport as much as he has this fractious relationship with it. You know, he still
he
is
does punditing on
man.
TNT. You know, like it's yeah. Don't believe everything Ronnie says. Because he does speak a lot of nonsense, and that is part of the pull of Ronnie O'Sullivan. But yeah, I agree with you. You know, whether I can see him accepting a wild card to play every 2 years, like Jimmy White does, I don't know if I can see it at that level. Now, whether Ronnie will ever sort of deteriorate in level the way Jimmy White has, I don't know whether we'll ever see that, because Ronnie's very fit. He's, you know, he doesn't appear 50, does he, Ronnie? You know, mentally or physically. So,
well, speaking about the darts, of course, there is Luke Littler, but the other end of the coin is his name Paul Lim? Is that his?
Yeah. Paul Lim. Yeah.
What's his name? Is he 74 or something?
Yeah.
He reached the last 32 of the darts world championship, and you're like, well, you know, if he can do that in darts, why couldn't Ronnie possibly be someone who's doing that? You know, like the end of Steve Davis's career, where he could still be getting results. I think if someone can do that in one sport, then I don't see why Ronnie couldn't still be getting results in his 60s. To be frank, is whether he has the drive, whether his health is there.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, anything can happen at any time, and you know, I think what we have to do is appreciate Ronnie while he's still there, because I think you've got to look at a sport like tennis, and Roger Federer, you know, kept going forever, it seemed, and then just one day he wasn't there anymore, and it'll be the same with Novak Djokovic fairly soon, you would imagine. Obviously, Nadal's retired as well. And tennis is going through that real transitional phase of, they had three massive players that transcended the sport. And they're going to struggle to replace that. Funnily enough, Roger Federer was playing in a practice session this week at the Australian Open. He's not really done a lot of that, but he was playing a top 10 player in Casper Ruud and beat him in a tiebreak, like, you know, quite comfortably. And that's the sort of thing you could see Ronnie doing, is coming back for the odd appearance, you know, maybe wild cards at the Masters or whatever, and giving the modern day player a bit of a run for their money, and I can see that happening, definitely. But yeah, fingers crossed he keeps playing. Just enjoy him while you see him, and watch him as if every time that you do watch him play well, that might be the last time you see him play well. You know, and do enjoy that, because yeah, when he is gone and doesn't play anymore, it will be really sad. And, you know, I'd say that for all of the things, like the commentary, the BBC coverage. At some point, Hazel will stop presenting snooker.
No, she can't.
And you know, we have to just enjoy this period while it lasts, because maybe in 10 years it will be a completely different landscape. And yeah, so just enjoy it while it's here. Try not to worry about it too much would be my advice. But but Matt finished his email with, okay, I take back what I said at the start of the email. I can't resist talking about Hendry and his humpins. I tuned in to Judd Trump versus Mark Allen at the wrong time. I tuned in just as Joe Perry said this on commentary. I couldn't help but wonder if Selby utilised the same assets while giving Hendry a good humping. What do you guys think? So I've sent you a little clip, Tom, that Matt has sent. It's a very short clip, this, but 6 seconds long. Let me know when you're ready to. I emailed it to you, Tom, on Transfer Now. So
this is going to be in my inbox.
It's going to be in your inbox. Yes, it is. It is. So
I'm sure about this.
Just to give you a little bit of context of what was happening in the match at this time, Mark Allen had won the first frame. It's 10 points to Judd Trump, 13 points to Mark Allen. And in the commentary box, you've got Joe Perry. So let me know when you've got it up and you're ready to rock and roll, Tom.
I feel like we've just switched over to BBC Four, and you've just introduced like.
Well,
I'll pass you over.
I was going for that. To be fair, Tom, I was going for the
Yeah, it was
old
nice.
introducing introducing the frame as Hazel does when we're looking over the matches at the mid-session interval.
Download this to my computer. I hope it's worth it, Matt. Whatever you've sent me. It can be horrible snooker virus. Okay, I have. Right, I've.
Has he got it up yet?
Thing. It is up, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Are you ready, Tom?
Yeah.
Let's give it a whirl. 3, 2, 1. The classic long tackle. There you go.
There we are. Beautiful. It would have
so now you've got tackle. Joe Perry talking about Judd's long tackle, as well as Stephen Hendry receiving his humpins from Mark Selby. So I think all of these things, Tom, are ready for Snooker Extra, to be honest with you. So
I agree. Yeah. I agree. One of my favourite bits of commentary was, I think it might have been Joe Perry, but he said something like, "Oh, and Judd Trump, he said Judd Trump, he is really close together, so it sounded like he called him Judd Trumpy." In my head, I went, if he was called Judd Trumpy, I'd much prefer him, I think.
He'd probably be one of the silly characters of the podcast, wouldn't he? Let's be honest.
Maybe we should call him Judd Trumpy from now on.
Judd Trumpy, yeah. Maybe we'll like him a bit more. But yeah, Tom, you might remember in the last episode we debuted a new section of the podcast. We called it Cue the Quiz or whatever. And the challenge was for our audience to come up with names for that segment of the show. And the winner will, of course, receive a brand new copy of this book signed by both me and Tom, and more importantly, a World Snooker Championship 2007 beer mat. So we did have a number of entries, Tom, via email, via comments, and I thought I might just read out some of the suggestions. And I thought maybe, Tom, you could pick who you think should win, and therefore pick the winner of our giveaway. So, in the comments section, we had Matthew Wassell, and he said, "Cue the questions." Cue the questions. Keeping up with Cue the theme. We had Green Ollie saying, "Stay in the loop quiz." We had Joe Everdell saying, "Curious Minds," which I like. I like the play on words. We had Data Boy 2001 saying, "The Bulk Buster Quiz." I mean, that sounds like a sequel to this book. And then we had 3 suggestions from Aidan, who came up with QI.
Nice.
Q, you know the answer.
Ooh.
And finally, and this one might tickle your pickle, Tom. Quiz Wakelin.
Sorry? Oh!
So.
Oh my God.
I'll run you through the options. We have Cue the Questions, Stay in the Loop Quiz, Curious Minds, the Bulk Buster Quiz, QI, Quiz Wakelin, and Q You Know the Answer.
Do you know, I'm torn. I'm between Quiz Wakelin or Q You Know the Answer. Have you got a preference on those two, Joe?
Well, how about we put it down to viewer vote? if we can't decide between those two, because I really like those as well. I do like QI. To be honest, Aidan, you've absolutely smashed it. You've absolutely smashed it, Aidan. I think it's fair to say that Aidan's probably won the contest.
Are they all his?
They're all his.
Aidan, you've got a maximum break, mate. You've smashed it.
So I think Aidan wins the contest, but maybe we leave it up to the viewers to decide between those three. Do we go for QI, Quiz Wakeling, or Q You Know the Answer? And we'll put a poll on the channel, and whichever one wins by the time of the next episode, that is what the name of the the podcast section will be. So for today, we are gonna run it. Congratulations to Aidan. Thank you everybody for entering that. So I will email you, Aidan, and try and get some shipping details for you, and hopefully by the time of the next podcast you will have your copy of it signed by myself and Tom, and with your all important World Snooker Championship 2007 beer mat in there as well. And I'm sure Tom might even find a comedy flyer or something to stick in there for you. You know, I know I've had some very strange things from Tom in the past in parcels, so I wouldn't put it past him. But thank you very much for getting involved in that. Today, Tom, we are going to celebrate the player that ultimately knocked you over the ton in the prediction contest. I'm gonna ask you questions. Eh?
He knocked me over the ton.
He knocked you over the ton. Yeah, he did. Of course, class of '92 player John Higgins, and we have sort of knuckled down on what the format of this is going to be. So the way it's going to work, I'm going to ask Tom some questions. He gets 3 lives, and basically we're going to do it like a break. So red color, whatever, and whatever break he ends up with, that's the points he will get. And we're going to make a little leaderboard of what can happen. So we're going to start with John Higgins, and I'm going to ask him some questions. He's got 3 lives to play with, and well, it could be very short. This could be very long. Will he get a maximum 147 break? Who knows? Who knows? So, Tom, John Higgins, how do you feel your knowledge of John Higgins is?
I mean, I know he's Scottish. I know he started playing professionally, Joe, in 1992. So I'm pretty much an expert, I'd say, yeah.
Pretty much an expert. So, of course, the red questions are true or false. So we will always start with red. If Tom loses a life, he'll go back to the red, and he'll have that 50-50 chance to get back on the table, if you like. So fingers crossed, he will get at least one of these questions right. Look at him, he's getting excited for this. And Tom is going to buy a version of this book as well, and he's going to ask me questions. So we're not just going to be embarrassing Tom, he's also going to be embarrassing me. So I'm excited for this. So Tom, are you ready for the ultimate cue the quiz? No, not cue the quiz. What was it again? QI, Quiz Wakeling, Q You Know the Answer.
I'm ready for all 3 of those.
Let's go. So, first question is a red question for John Higgins. So, true or false, Tom? John Higgins won his first ranking title at the age of 18. And you can take your time. You can have a think about when he won his first title, while I actually find some answers.
Well,
talk us through your thoughts.
It would have been around 18. It must have been. But I think maybe it might have been slightly first ranking title. Well, there would have been less ranking titles back then. So I'm going to say false.
Correct, Tom. He was 19. He was 19 when he won his first ranking title. I think what would have maybe gave that away to me was Ronnie was 17 in 1993, I think, wasn't he, when he won the... Or 1992. Was it 1992 that he won the UK Championship? I can't remember, but yeah, that... So John Higgins would have had to win very quickly after that, wouldn't he? But there you go. He was 19. So 1. Pick a colour, Tom. Pick a colour.
Well, I've not gone perfectly on position, so I'm going to have to go for a brown.
A brown. Okay. So this for 4 points, Tom. Who was John's partner when Scotland won the 2019 Snooker World Cup?
Okay, I'm going to go with my first thought, which was on fire, but it could be Donaldson. But I'm going to go with Stephen Maguire.
Stephen Maguire, correct. 5.
Yes.
5.
Oh, here we go. The referee's back, and I'm on fire.
Okay, back to a red. So, number 2 on the reds. So for your second red, John won his first ranking title in Blackpool. True or false?
Oh, for God's sake, who knows this? I mean, there was a lot of snooker in Blackpool. It's just come back to Blackpool with the shootout. I'm going to go true.
It's knuckled, I'm afraid. False. It was in Derby, of all places. So that's one life gone. But he gets a reprieve. He's back to the table, and he's got a shot at another red. So, John beat Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final to win the junior title at the 1991 World Masters. Is that true or false? So, John beat Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final to win the junior title at the 1991 World Masters.
I mean, I know they did play a lot as juniors, so it's plausible. It's not something I know, so there's definitely a guess here. I'm going to say true. I can see that being true.
Oh, it's rattled in the jaws, Tom. It's rattled in the jaws. And it almost went into the other side, but sadly it was false. It was Mark Williams that he beat. So it was the other class of 92. Right, okay. This is your last chance, Tom, to get any points. It started so well. So,
I know.
Another red. True or false, Tom? John became world number 1 for the first time in 1998. Now, all of the questions have been false so far, haven't they? So,
oh, what mind game are you playing here, Joe? Oh my God.
Well, have a think about it. Talk through your thoughts. So, 1998.
Well, you've said they've all been false. That makes me think this is true. Or this one is false.
What happened in 1998?
Are you trying to double bluff me, Joe? What is going on here?
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that, Tom.
Oh no, did Willow win the Worlds in 98? Is that right? Was 2018 20 years after he won it?
It was 15 years after he won his second world title.
Oh, 98, was that Ken? He was around there. I'm going to go false.
Oh, Tom. Oh, Tom.
Oh, you did this.
I did everything I could
Joe.
to try and help you. It was true. He won the World Championship in 98. I literally said, think about who won the World Championship in 98. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. So that is a sad 5 points for Tom. Although He might have had a reprieve because he won today's prediction contest so convincingly. I'm going to give him one more chance at the table to improve his score. So, I'm going to give you one that is almost certain. I think that you'll get right to get you going.
Don't say that.
So, John is the youngest ever world champion. True or false?
False.
Correct. Well done. One.
It's Stephen Hendry. Do I get an
all right. Hey, all right. No bonus points, I'm afraid. There's no bonus reds dropping. You're already getting a bonus go at this. What colour are you going to go for, Tom?
Well, let's try and get a high break. So let's go for a blue.
A blue. Okay. In what year did John Higgins first play in the Masters? I'll give you 1 year either way for this. But if you get bang on, I'll double your score. It's a Powerball.
1995.
Spot on. 10 points. 11. I'm being very kind to Tom here. Right, back to red. As of 2025, John Higgins has played the most matches of any professional. True or false?
I think it's him or Willow. Oh, no, actually. Oh, hold on. No. Is it Jimmy White?
Well, all I will say is to try and be a helping hand is think about the relative success levels of the players you've mentioned.
Definitely spent a lot of time on qtracker.net looking at stupid stats about who's played the most matches. I feel like that's true.
It is true. Well done. Yeah. I think John Higgins has probably got to more quarterfinals and semi-finals than any of the other two. So, okay, that's another red.
Well,
so you're on.
We do think of Jimmy as having a long career, but obviously when he was playing, there was probably less matches each season.
Yeah. 12. Pick a colour.
Well, let's go all out because you've been nice to me. I may as well risk it for a biscuit. Let's go for the black ball.
He's going for the black. Hazel. This is a cracker. What was John's specialist subject when he appeared on Celebrity Mastermind? And I will have to try and give you a bit of a clue for this. It's something from the 80s, primarily. And when you hear it, you'll be like, of course.
The A-Team.
Oh, so close. Dallas.
Oh!
That was really a really good effort. Oh, well, sadly, Tom Mayhew, 12. And that adds to your previous 5 points to get you a grand total of a 17 break for your first go at QI, Quiz Wakeling, Q, you know the answer. And it's fair to say, Tom, you did Q a lot of answers there. You maybe miscued a couple as well, but you know.
No, I did.
Yeah, well done. I think that's a very respectable start to our quiz section official start to the quiz section. In the future, instead of sort of picking players, we will have a sort of Wheel of Fortune idea to pick a player, and then we'll follow that format. So let us know what you think about the new section of the podcast. I really enjoyed that. I don't know about you, Tom. That was quite fun. And you had more knowledge than I expected on John Higgins. I'm sorry for putting you off on the world number one question. That wasn't my intention. I was genuinely trying to help you. So, yeah.
You and your mind games, Hannard.
Yeah, mind games, Hannard, and yeah, that's why me and Elliot Slessor have a big rivalry, isn't it? So there you go. But yeah, that's where we're going to leave it for this podcast. It's been a really good one, actually. Nearly 2 hours long, proper bumper episode. Ooh. I don't even think there's any edits needed in this one, Tom. We're just pros at this. What a pro!
We're doing very well. I mean, you shouldn't have said that, because I'm just tempted to say something really weird about John Higgins now that you have to edit, but...
No, that's not going to happen. But yeah, massive thank you again for the 500 subscribers. We went over that recently. Do get in touch with the old links at the bottom. Fancheng email, snookerloopypodcast@gmail.com, or get involved in the comment section as well. The podcast is going from strength to strength, and we really hope that 2026 will be the best year yet, and hopefully you enjoy the new little nuggets of content on the channel as well. And a massive thank you to everybody that entered that contest. A massive congratulations to Aidan, who, of course, can quiz himself on all things John Higgins and Ray Reardon and Alex Higgins.
I won't be very good at Alex Higgins or Ray Reardon. I'm worried about when we get them, but hey, who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, any final thoughts, Tom?
Well, it's just been a lovely start to the year. I think the Masters is a great way to kick off the year, and it's lovely to see Kyron, as we said, getting second of his Triple Crown. It'll be interesting to see if he completes it. It's never a certainty. You always think that a certain quality of player can do it easily, but it's always the third one. I think it's the hardest one, isn't it?
Absolutely, and yeah, I suppose, will he win a second one at the Masters or the Worlds before he completes the set? That would that's possibly more likely, I think.
No, as you said that, I was like, yeah, I genuinely think it's more likely a player will win a tournament like that twice than do 1-1-1. Like, I think Sean Murphy did it, but he won one of each and then spread out. But I think that's rarer.
Yeah. So Sean Murphy's just clearly the greatest of all time. Said nobody ever. And we've now started that.
I'm sure Sean Murphy's done it and then done a pelvic thrust and then thanked the audience. I'd like to think he has.
Absolutely. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you later in probably early February now, for our next podcast, where we'll be talking about the German Masters and the World Grand Prix, two massive tournaments, and Ronnie, at the moment, is down to play in both of them. So, fingers crossed we get to see a bit of the rocket over the next couple of weeks. But take care. Thank you very much for watching, and all that's left to say is good evening, Hazel.
Say goodnight, JV.
Say goodnight, Hazel. Good evening, JV, and all of that.